Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. So the WBO have announced their new rankings up and down the weight divisions, but of course on this one we're going to be talking about the heavyweight division. So there are some changes here, as I do each and every month with all the sanctioning bodies. As and when they release the rankings, a video will follow suit. I'm going to go through the top 15, see what changes are made compared to last month, what fights have recently happened, what fights are coming up, all that kind of good stuff. And you should be subscribed, you really should, because these rankings videos will certainly help you with your debates online, because at least we get to talk about people who don't normally feature here on YouTube among the boxing news circle. So make sure you are subscribed. It's free and it's brilliant. Get to it. So I'm going to go through the top 15 and it goes as such, starting off with the champion, Oleksandr Usyk. He's the WBO super champion. Of course, he's unified champion as well, IBF, WBA, as well as Joyce is the WBO interim world heavyweight champion. Of course, he defeated Joseph Parker by knockout. Number 1 is Andy Ruiz Jr. Number 2, Frank Sanchez. Number 3, Otto Wallin. Number 4, Filip Hrgovic. Number 5, Anthony Joshua. Number 6, Michael Hunter. Number 7, Ali Aaron Demirizian. Number 8, Joseph Parker. Number 9, Dempsey McKean. Number 10, Ajit Kabiel. Number 11 is Zhilei Zhang. Number 12, Jermaine Franklin. Number 13, Martin Bakole. Number 14, Vladislav Serenko. And number 15, Justice Huni. So that is the top 15 for the month of November from the WBO in the heavyweight division. So some notable names are missing, I would say, and I think a lot of you will probably spot it straight away as well. Okay, we can point out the obvious ones. Tyson Fury, he won't be here anyway because he's WBC heavyweight champion. Again, I always get asked that question. Dan Dubois won't be here also because he's WBA regular world heavyweight champion. But I think other names that probably could slip in somewhere within this top 15, not all of course, but people like a Deontay Wilder, a Dillian Whyte, a Arsenbek Makhmudov, a Zhan Kosabuski, a Hughie Fury, a Tony Yoka, a Derek Chisora, a Jared Anderson, a Kubrat Pulev, maybe even a Luis Ortiz or a Kevin Lorena, and maybe a couple of others. So I think that there are some names missing, and of course there are some names in this top 15 who arguably haven't yet proved that they should be in this top 15. We'll start off with the obvious one, number 15, fresh insert, Justice Huni. He's 6-0. Now, for being only 6-0, his record's pretty decent for the level of opposition that he's fought. He hasn't just been fighting journeymen, he's been fighting people, well, a couple of them, undefeated. And he is the WBO Oceania heavyweight champion, I think he is. But only 6 fights deep. Should you really be in the top 15? I understand he's got a WBO version of a trinket title, but should that justify a top 15? I don't think so, personally. Listen, I like him, I think he's a good fighter, but I think that, I mean, could he beat anybody in this top 15? Arguably. I mean, how would he get on with a Serenko? Or a Ajit Kabiel, for example, or Jermaine Franklin, or Demirizian, or Otto Wallin? I mean, you don't know. You don't know. I mean, maybe all of them would beat him. Maybe he would beat all of them. We don't know, but that's the point. We need to find out. Yes, he's only 6 fights deep, but if you're going to be a top 15 fighter, you need to justify it. You really do. Now, no idea who he's fighting next, if he's got a fight scheduled. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a all-Australian clash with him and Lucas Brown, or maybe him and Dempsey McKean. I mean, how would he get on with Dempsey McKean? Anyway, that's Justice Huni in at number 15. Number 12, Jermaine Franklin. Now, he's been there for a little while anyway. And of course, he's going to be fighting Dillian Whyte later on this month, on the 26th of November at the Wembley Arena. Again, with Jermaine Franklin, he's 21-0, American heavyweight. So again, firstly, as far as heavyweights are concerned, it is always good to see Americans in the heavyweight rankings. It is. I think it's good for boxing personally. But ultimately, we don't know how good he is. We don't. I know some people will look at his performances against a Pavel Sauer, for example, or maybe one or two others, and go, he ain't that good. Some people fight to the level of their opposition. They do. Some people can rise to the occasion. So maybe him fighting Dillian Whyte could be his breakout fight. It could be. And I think if he defeats Dillian Whyte, which I don't favour him to, by the way, but if he does, then he would justify a top 15 position. I think right now, I don't think he's really justified it right now. My opinion. Okay. Other people, you got Demarizian, number 7. That's a little high, I think. Well, didn't he just defeat Adam Karnacki? It was him, wasn't it? I'm sure it was. But, I mean, Demarizian, I mean, he's okay, but again, he hasn't really set the world alight. He really hasn't. Although, speaking of which, I'm surprised, again, you have to remember, this is the WBO. And we know that they are very, very biased and show favouritism to Queensberry and top-ranked fighters. They do. Top-rank and Queensberry can deny it all they like, but the receipts are all there that they are. They have a very good relationship. So I'm surprised that we don't see a Makhmudov here, or a Jared Anderson here. Maybe even a David Adelaide here, as he's a Queensberry fighter. So I am surprised to not see those particular fighters in this top 15, especially a Makhmudov and a Jared Anderson. I really am. But hey, what can you do? Now, number 1, Andy Ruiz Jr. So he's jumped up from number 3 to number 1. Of course, he did defeat Luis Ortiz, which feels like a long time ago now, but it actually wasn't. But is that a waste of a ranking considering he is going the WBC route? He's openly said that himself. That's the only belt left that he wants now. He's got no interest in the other ones as much as the WBC. We know the WBC have recently ordered Wilder versus Andy Ruiz Jr. But again, we knew they were going to do that with their PBC bias. So is that a waste of a ranking for Andy Ruiz Jr., knowing he's not going the WBO route? Arguably yes, arguably no, right? Again, if Andy Ruiz Jr. is going to be there, shouldn't Wilder be there? Is it just down to sanction fees? Who knows? I mean, Joyce, he's the WBO interim heavyweight champion. Of course, he defeated Joseph Parker last time out by knockout. Dominant win, by the way. Fantastic performance. Really was. And, Joseph Parker did have his moments in that fight. That he was looking pretty good. But ultimately, now Joyce is interim heavyweight champion for the WBO. He can only fight people in this top 15. And until he gets his world title shot, if he chooses to fight between now and then, which you would imagine he would, he has to fight somebody in the top 15. So who's that going to be? Your guess is as good as mine. It really is. And by the time he's going to be fighting again, I'd imagine in probably about 2 or 3 months' time, these rankings could well have changed a little bit. All right, but either way, just a bit of side information for you. Number 6, Michael Hunter. He's moved up 3 positions, even though he hasn't had a fight. He was supposed to take on Huey Fury. Huey, he had back-to-back illnesses. The latest one is symptoms of long COVID. A lot of you who know about that is it can be quite serious. It could actually finish his career. It could. Let's hope it doesn't, right? Touch wood. But I'd love to see Michael Hunter again. He was with Boxer. Now apparently he's a free agent. I don't know what's going on with that. It's like he can't seem to keep a promotional company. Like he couldn't stick with Matchroom for some reason. Boxer couldn't keep him either. I don't know what it is. But I'd love to see Michael Hunter take on somebody in this top 15. Oh, to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing the rematch with Martin Bacoli, to be honest. Honestly. Again, speaking of Martin Bacoli, again, great victory over Tony Yoka, but he hasn't really capitalised on it. He seems to have just sat on the sidelines. Now, if he's injured, fair play. If he's not, what's the reason? Is there a reason why he hasn't got a fight set? Maybe nobody wants to fight him. He's not tied down to a promotional company as far as I'm aware. So he could fight against pretty much anybody. Surely somebody somewhere wants to see Martin Bacoli fight their guy. Or maybe they don't. But I'd love to see Martin Bacoli fight somebody in his top 15. I would. To be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing him take on, as I said before, the rematch Michael Hunter, but maybe a Joseph Parker. That Joe Joyce fight would be great. It really would. Other than that, I mean, no massive changes. I mean, I don't think Serenko should be there, to be honest. Yeah, he's 19-0, but who's he beat? Let's justify these positions. I think that WBO, coming into the new year, need to start looking at their rankings, as do the other sanctioning bodies, and getting their fighters to justify their positions. I do. I think Serenko needs to justify that position. Fight somebody in this top 15. The WBO have the power to order it, so order it. Why not? But again, number 5, Anthony Joshua. He was going to be fighting on December the 3rd against Fury. That fell apart because Fury didn't want it. And then he was going to be fighting December 17th. What happened with that, we don't know. And that looks like he's not going to be returning until about March. Who's he going to be fighting? Again, there's talk about him fighting a Dillian Whyte rematch and whatever else. Maybe Otto Wallin, who of course is number 3 here. Be interested to see what Anthony Joshua does going forward. As I said before, I'd like to see Anthony Joshua do that worldwide tour. Go to China, take on Zhang Zhang. Go to Croatia, take on Filip Hrgović. Go to Nigeria, take on either a F.A. Jagba, of course, or a Deontay Wilder, for example. I'd like to see him do a bit of a world tour, personally, anyway. Anyway, listen, that's my thoughts on this whole situation, these new rankings for the WBO. What's your thoughts on them? I mean, they're not great, but they're far better than the WBA. That's for sure. Drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you next video.